everybody. Madison here with Health by Ratio, and I'm outside today because it's glorious spring weather and I want to get some vitamin D. So we're going to be doing a live today on a functional exercise that is probably one of the greatest exercises in the world, the Turkish Get-Ups, and we're going to give a twist to it today. But before we get into that, if you don't know who I am and what my team and I do, Health by Ratio, we are a team that work 100% online with our clients in getting them to recondition away from chronic pain and injuries and moving toward full range of stable motion so that they can live the active, fit life that they want, whether it's just being able to go around and play with the kids, the grandkids, or hike the dogs, or whether that's training for a specific sport or event or whatever it might be, and anywhere in between. So we're a team that consists of physical therapists as well as functional movement coaches, corrective exercise specialists, functional health coaches, because we're very holistic. We try to take not only the physical side of the body into account, but also the nutritional side as well as the mental emotional side. So we're very inclusive in terms of what we do. And like I said, we work all online. And one of the big aspects of what we do with pretty much all of our clients, because whether our clients are just trying to look for general health and function throughout their daily lives, or whether it's actually toward a fitness or athletic goal, everyone wants to get in some level of better shape. They want to get stronger, they want to get more balance, they want to get more explosive, they want to have better endurance, something along those lines. So with each of our clients, exercise is important. Obviously, varying degrees for each person, and that's why we customize each person's program depending on what their goals are. And because exercise is so prevalent, we spend a ton of time with not just educating our clients on what they need to do around their mobilizations, around what areas are tight on their body, what's restricting them, what do they need to open up, what are their proper mobility techniques or stretches that they need to be doing regularly, but also what corrective patterns they need to do to stabilize their body and retrain their central nervous system, how to squat correctly, walk correctly, run correctly, lunge, hip hinge, and do all kind of our daily fundamental patterns. And then beyond that, it's also exercising properly. As a matter of fact, we do this with a ton of our clients, with teaching them how to work out properly without hurting themselves. What are the exercises that are appropriate for them, that are strengthening their body in the right way, versus which exercise they need to avoid like the plague, because those guys are moving them the wrong direction. Those are areas of their body that they're already strong in. So we teach them that, and then most importantly is doing those techniques correctly, right? We might need to know which exercise we should do, but if we don't do them the right way, then it's all for naught. So that's a huge component. So we structure out workout plans and we teach our clients how to do those correctly. And one of my favorite exercises, and this is definitely not one that I have all of our clients do, it depends on the person and what their capabilities are. And we obviously this is normally later in their program as they balance out and got into full range of motion, is a Turkish Get-Up. So for those of you that don't know what a Turkish Get-Up is, I'm going to show it really fast, and then I'm going to break down why this is such an amazing exercise. And then we're going to throw a twist onto it to make this thing really holistic, very functional, and pretty much hitting every muscle group we could ever want. So a Turkish Get-Up is where you start onto the ground. You have one knee bent, and whatever knee is bent, you would normally have some type of weight in this hand. The other hand, we just have down on the ground, and we break it down into doing kind of a half crunch, half sit-up, half rotation, where we come up to one elbow. And then from here, we come up to this hand, extend up into a quasi-glute bridge. Then we swing this leg through so that I can get some leverage on this back knee, get myself upright. Then I get this leg behind me. So now I'm in more of a lunge position. And then I stand all the way up. Then I work my way back, down, through those steps until I get all the way down to the ground. So that's a regular Turkish Get-Up. It's an amazing exercise. What's happening here is as I first come up, I'm doing this half crunch, half sit-up. So I'm getting my entire core here. It's not just my rectus abdominis, not just like the six-pack muscle where we're just crunching straight up. We're getting a rotation involved because we're propping to this one elbow. So I get my obliques and my stabilizers around my core engaged. That's awesome. If I'm doing this properly, I'm stabilizing through this top shoulder the entire time and keeping a big chest and stabilizing my back shoulder. Then as I push and I get to this position, I'm engaging the tricep on the back. I'm getting a little bit of back activation behind, not a ton, but I am getting some back engagement behind me. And then as I extend up into this glute bridge, I'm really using the glute maximus of the down leg here And the leg that's extended, I'm using more the glute medius, which is the side of the muscle. These are really important glute aspects that often get underworked for us. So we're coming up into this extension. Here, I'm also feeling even more engagement along this backside of my plant arm here. Then, as I extend through, I'm now getting, again, into a core stabilized position, and I have to use these obliques to push me upright. And then, obviously, I'm going into a lunge. That's working my quads, my glutes, my hamstrings, everything as I stabilize all the way upright. And then I'm working my way back down and controlling all this in the negative sense, like on the negative side of this exercise, or we could also call that an eccentric phase of the exercise. Very, very functional. It's amazing. So we can't pick a better exercise than the Turkish Get-Up. It hits everything that we want. But for those of you that have tuned into some of these lives before and tuned into my videos before, we at Health by Ratio are always talking about the posterior chain. We're talking about working the muscles behind us like crazy because so much of us sit throughout the day. We type throughout the day. We're driving. We do all this stuff that tightens us up this way. And then we often enjoy activities like yoga, or activities like bike riding, or activities like running, which are all phenomenal things. But for the most part, if we're tight in these areas, then when we start running, or we start bike riding, or we start going into yoga, which is very shoulder dominant and hip flexor dominant, we start working a lot of these front muscle groups, not to mention circuit training style classes. So like I love circuit training. I love boot camps. They're fun. That's actually one of the workouts that I just did. That's why I'm a little bit sweaty right now. It's a blast. But you're doing things like mountain climbers and leg lifts and push-ups and shoulder presses and all these things that are very much focused on the front of our body. But most of our muscle is supposed to sit behind us. About 60%, roughly 2/3 of our muscle is behind us in comparison to in front of us. We have our calves, we have our big hamstrings, we have our big butt muscle, we have the stabilizers of the core that are attaching back here. We have our huge back muscles like our lats and our rhomboids and all these things that are behind us that are what are the most important stabilizers for things like our lower back and our hips. And they dictate how stable our knees are and even how stable our ankles are. And all of that, what sits on top of that is our shoulders and our neck. So if we have really any issues with the body, it's normally stemming from lack of functional activation from our posterior chain. So we want to work that posterior chain. And I love Turkish Get-Ups, but the issue is that it doesn't work the back quite as much as we want. Now, you do get a lot of glute activation in there. You're working a lot of hamstring and glute. You are getting a lot of core stabilizers. But with regards to the upper body, the thing that's working the most is the front of our shoulders because we're holding a weight over our head the entire time. So the front of our shoulders is getting really fatigued. We get a little bit of that back when we're pushing up off the ground, but it's not as much. And also, a very big fundamental pattern that we don't get into with the Turkish Get-Up is a true hip hinge. We do a lunge, which can translate to squatting, like bending. It's a more knee-dominant technique, but we don't do a hip hinge. And a hip hinge is something that we implement throughout our daily lives all the time. When we first wake up in the morning, we bend over the sink, we wash our face. When we're unloading the dishwasher, when we're bending over to pick something up and grab it, we're hip hinging here. So we want to train this pattern as well. And that's very posterior. We're working all hamstrings and glutes and core stabilizers as we do that. So we're going to do this Turkish Get-Up. And at the very end, we're going to bring down this weight, go into a hip hinge, and do a row to get our back to work, our rhomboids, our lats, our middle traps. And then we'll throw that weight back up and work our way back down. So it's a little bit of a twist, a little progression to the Turkish Get-Up that's going to make this thing even more functional, and it's going to balance out our body in a really good way. So let's break it down. And just to be safe, I'm going to take off my beads there because it's often when the kettlebell flips around, it can hit the back of those things and not feel so good. So here we are. We're on the ground. We got our, whatever arm we're going to be using this weight, we want to have that knee bent. And we're going to drive this heel into the ground. We're pressing this arm straight up. I have my other arm flat down to the ground. First thing I'm going to do is drive that heel down and use my core to prop me up to my elbow. All right. Now I got myself, I need to push off this and get up to my hand. Beautiful. Now I'm going to extend both this heel and this heel into the ground and extend my hips up into this quasi glute bridge. and then I'm going to throw my straight leg underneath me, so now I can stabilize my knee. I'm using my core right now to push me upright. Now I'm going to get my legs in alignment. Got my front leg, back leg in alignment, come all the way up to a standing position. I'm going to bring this hand down. Now we're doing our progression. We're going to go into a hip hinge. So I'm folding forward here. I'm trying to keep a nice flat back. And then we're going to go into a row and get my back engaged. And now I'm going to use my glutes to throw this weight back up. We're doing a hang snatch there, which is another really great kettlebell exercise. So repeat that. I set that down. I'm rowing, bringing the weight all the way up. And then I'm working my way back down, setting that knee behind me, going down to my hand, and all the way down to the ground. Let's do that to the other side and see that from another angle. So transitioning with the other knee up, I'm going to have my other hand out. I'm first and foremost driving this heel into the ground, propping myself to my elbows, then coming all the way to the hand, extending up into that bridge, throwing that knee behind me, using my core to prop me upright, get these knees and legs in alignment so they're straight ahead, transition up to my lunge position, bring this hand down, go into my hip hinge, row, throw that weight back up, and then work my way back down to the ground. So that is the progression to a Turkish Get-Up that is even more functional. It hits all of our muscle groups and works a ton of variety of patterns throughout everything from the ankles to the knees, the hips, the core, the shoulder girdle, like everything's getting work there. So love this functional exercise. Hope you guys enjoy this progression. If you guys want some help, like we've given to all of our clients and even people that don't sign up for our program, we offer free consultation calls where it's two. The first call is just over a regular phone call. We connect with you. We find out what your goals are, what your health background is, what your body's been through. And then we follow up with a video assessment with you and me particularly. And we go through a variety of different postural analyses, movement pattern assessments, range of motion assessments to see not only how your body's moving, but why it's doing what it's doing. And then on that call, we game plan together what you can do on your own to get this thing moving back to full range of stable motion. And if it works that you want to work with my team and I and try out our program, awesome. And if not, that's totally fine too. We're just happy with helping as many people as we can. We're going to attach a link on the comments to this video as we post it, or if you're getting this through our newsletter or watching this on our YouTube channel, we'll put the link to book a call, your free call with us in there. Feel free to take advantage of it. And otherwise, guys, if you have any questions, you have any other topics that you want us to cover on future lives, future posts, please feel free to write in the comments or send us a direct message or email us back, and we'd love to cover another topic. We're always looking for good suggestions for future posts. All right, guys, hope you have a great rest of your day. Hopefully you're enjoying some spring weather like I am. Talk to you soon.